There are still at least two very good reasons why I would buy a Polo GTI instead of a Golf GTI. Hello and welcome back to the Volkswizard channel. Now, as some of you may know, 2025 marks the 50th birthday of the Volkswagen Polo, and today's review is of a Polo that has evolved the most since that 40 horsepower original of 1975. I'm talking about the current generation Polo GTI, which packs a punchy 207 horsepower and positively bristles with technology. And yet, just like every Polo GTI that's come before it, it cannot hold a candle to its big brother, the Golf GTI, dynamically. But there are still at least two very good reasons why I would buy a Polo GTI instead of a Golf GTI, and I'll explain those at the end of this video. But before we get started by seeing how the current Polo GTI stacks up against the current Golf GTI on paper, let me just remind you guys how you can support the channel. As ever, the easiest way is simply to subscribe. We're still getting lots of views from non-subscribers. It's brilliant to get those views, but it'd be even more brilliant if you guys could subscribe as well. So if you like what you see on this channel, then you know what to do. Okay, let's start off then with the thorny subject of price. The Polo GTI today costs £30,740. The Golf GTI 265, the entry-level model, is £40,735. That's exactly £9,995 more. It's almost like they've gone, well, how much less do you think the Polo should be than the Golf GTI? About 10 grand. Okay then, both the Golf and the Polo have got 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol turbo, EA888 engines and 7-speed DSG automatic gearboxes. I reckon the hardware there is pretty much the same, but the Polo only produces 207 horsepower, as I mentioned earlier. The Golf is packing 265 horsepower, torque 320 newton meters for the Polo, 370 for the Golf, 0 to 62 6.5 for the Polo, 5.9 for the Golf, top speed 150 for the Polo, 155 for the Golf, MPG 43 for the Polo, just under 40 for the Golf. Weight, the Golf is only 76 kilograms heavier than the Polo. I thought it'd be more than that. Length, the Golf is 21.5 centimeters longer, just under 4 centimeters wider, 4 centimeters taller, and it has a wheelbase of just under 8 centimeters more. The boot is quite a bit bigger in the Golf, 69 litres more, so 305 versus 374. However, there are two things that the Polo GTI does not have that mean it will never ever be able to compete with the Golf GTI dynamically. We'll talk about those when we go for a drive. This Polo GTI, if you ordered it today, would be £33,070 because it's got about £2,300 of options. It's got the reef blue paintwork, the sunroof, the rear view camera, and a space saver spare wheel. You can buy this car from me for £23,990. It's done 5,600 miles and it's pretty much as new inside and out. Okay, now let's have a look around the outside of this Polo GTI. And firstly, big ups to subscriber Mike, who sold me this car. He had it from brand new and he did just over 5,000 miles in it and he's clearly loved it. Anyway, this is the Mark 6 Polo and it's the facelift version. That means it's got the light bar, love it or hate it, just there, which connects with the lights bar bit in the headlights. We've got the IQ LED matrix headlights as standard in the UK. I'm pretty sure the radar for the adaptive cruise, which again is standard, is behind the badge like it is on a Mark 8 Golf. This Polo is very much like the Mark 8 Golf in some ways, but as you'll see from the interior, it doesn't have a lot of the annoying features of it. We have big hexagon sections down here that make up this lower section of the bumper with a big cooler across there. We have two hexagon fog lights, which are similar to the ones on the Golf GTI. We've got front and rear parking sensors as standard. And yeah, overall, I think it's a very good looking car. From the front, let's have a look at the side. Now the dagger badges, which we miss on the 8.5, clearly were designed for this Polo because it's got a swage line that's shaped to accommodate them. You don't actually have that on the Golf. The wheels are the Parker style, which we've seen on the 7.5 Golf GTIs, but they're an inch smaller on the Polo, so just 17 inch. And you can spec the Faro wheel, which is about £400 extra, and it does look good. It's an 18-inch wheel, so you get less tyre sidewall, but you actually get the same width. It's a 215 section tyre, whichever wheel you order. Tyres on this car are Michelin Pilot Sport 5s. It's very unusual for a Volkswagen to have Michelins in the present day. And what's even more surprising is that they're actually made in Germany, but this Polo is made in South Africa. Weird. Brakes are one-piece steel, one piston caliper, and I think it's a 312mm disc, which isn't too bad for this car. Bear in mind its performance levels. You would have had this on the non-performance pack, Mark 7 7.5s, Mark 5 Edition 30, so with 207 horsepower, I think they're probably good enough, maybe even for the track, though it is quite a heavy car, as I mentioned. Okay, down here we've got a little plastic sill extender, but there's nothing particularly interesting on the side of the car apart from 65% tints from the B-pillar back. Little Volkswagen badge there. At the back we do have discs, which is probably not the case on every Polo. Red calipers, by the way, and I think it's a traditional, yeah, it's a traditional handbrake in this car. At the back, well, because this is the facelift Polo, we've got the lights in the tailgate that makes it look much more like a Mark 8 Golf. In fact, Mike, the owner, was telling me that a lot of people mistook it for a Golf, and it's not surprising really, because it doesn't say Polo anywhere on it. But if you know, you know, and I think the exhausts are probably the biggest giveaway. So these look nice, but they're very different to the ones in the Golf GTIs. So just two silver tailpipes on the left-hand side of the car. There's nothing else on there that's particularly racy. There's no sort of diffuser. This section's body coloured. Got the badge here, of course, and we've got the Volkswagen badge to open the tailgate. We do have a spoiler that looks pretty good until you realise it's the same as the one on an R-Line. Let's have a quick look at the sunroof. So this has got the one-piece panel that we've seen on the Mark 8 Golf, which is distinctly different to the one that cracks on the 7.5 and probably Mark 7 Golfs as well. So that's good. But yeah, it's not particularly flashy, but I think it looks good. So now let's see how the Polo GTI stacks up inside. I'd say that sounds more like the 7.5 Golf than the sort of hollow sounding 8, so that's good. Haven't got the rough edge there too badly anyway, so that's good as well. The door card though is very boring. We've just got this very boring cloth down here. It looks like a base Polo. Plastics are okay, but they're not brilliant, although it's quite nice they've taken the effort to design this. We don't have flat line door bins, which you would have on a Golf, but at least we have silver tips on the switches. Quite a hefty pull, though that does feel plastic. A bit of a greyish inlay there that ties in with the dash when we don't have the red inlay on the dash, which I know a lot of people don't like. Switches there to lock and unlock the car, and we have electric folding mirrors, which is a nice touch. An even nicer touch is this aluminium sill protector. Why we don't get these on Golfs, I do not know. There's no ambient lighting in the sills here, but it looks okay. It looks just like a Mark 8 Golf. Bear in mind this is a Polo. I think that's okay. Carpets are, yeah, pretty poor quality. You can see on this nearly new car that just doesn't look very, very nice. This looks better. We've got a red stitch down there, but it's so faint, isn't it? Stainless pedals, a plastic dead pedal, which is normal for the UK. Traditional headlight switch with auto headlights. Traditional key as well. This isn't a keyless car, which is no bad thing. Let's have a look at the seats. And so, unlike a Golf, we do not have integrated headrests, and I actually quite like these. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think they look really good. Got the traditional check, which is shared with the Golf GTI. Got a nice red stitch there as well. Manual adjust seats. So we have up and down there, back and forth down there, and lumbar here, which is becoming pretty standard. Let's get inside and have a closer look. Okay, well, first impressions in here are very positive. The only sort of trace of Mark 8 Golf in this car is this steering wheel, which was introduced with the facelift, but it didn't last very long because in around 2023, just after this car was built, it was swapped to a traditional button steering wheel, so the haptic wheel has gone. But, you know, I think it's okay, and when it's not sort of linked to all the other Mark 8 things like the dodgy infotainment system, I think on its own it's all right once you get used to it. We don't have a heated steering wheel, so you can't turn that on by mistake. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. What they have done though is tweaked the cruise control to the more traditional method, so there's no double click anymore on this. That's the first generation haptic steering wheels had a double click. Now this works just like it did on a Mark 7 Golf, which is no bad thing. Got a red stitch there, GTI logo there, so it's basically the Golf GTI steering wheel just without the heated steering wheels section. Paddles there, I think Mark 7 7.5 stalks. We have got the active info display, which looks pretty good. It's got the view button, so you can muck around with it. It's as configurable as you need be, but you'll probably just use that. But it's cool to have the nav in there, though you probably won't be using the nav in there because you'll be using Apple CarPlay, which is standard. Wireless as well, it works really well, no problems. I cannot find a phone charger pad in here though. Might just be me. So you've got to watch that you don't run out of power on your phone because you're connecting wirelessly. But there's two USB-Cs there, there's two USB-Cs in the back, so probably best to plug in. We've got this halfway house touch sensitive climate control panel, which we saw I think in the Arteon and lots of these facelifted cars, and it works all right. You can slide, you can press, yeah, it's good. I think people would be happy with that, even though it's got no knobs. We have got, I've got to tell you about this, an illuminated gear knob. I don't know why I'm so impressed with that, but that's really cool. We have got these switches down here, which is good for right-hand drive. Presumably for left-hand drive, they're over here, but they're not on both sides like they would be on a Golf. We've got some air vents here with some chrome tips, which look all right. Infotainment system looks like familiar, like Mark 7.5 Golf with knobs, so no one's going to complain about that. You can upgrade it. We've got a sort of leatherish cover on the handbrake, which is all right, with a sort of matte aluminium knob. Front center armrest, which doesn't ratchet. Oh no, that's why you need to buy a Golf to get a ratcheting one of those. 12-volt socket in there. Cup holders look a bit basic, but they do the job. Not sure what you put in there. This panel here is all from the Golf with a sunglasses holder. There's no sort of stowage down there like you'd have on a Golf 7.5. Black headlining, and we've got the sort of plastic pillar trims, which are just like the ones on the Golf 8. This is lovely and soft. Very, very nice down here as well. Glove box isn't, and it's not lined, but I think in a Polo, that's okay. It was only with the Mark 8 Golf where the Polo matched it when it came to interior material quality. So suddenly the Polo actually looks a lot better, though I do miss the flat-line door bins. Black seat belts. Yeah, very positive. Right, let's have a quick look in the back. I'll put my seat in the normal driving position. That's good. Okay, actually, let's do the door card check. So what have we got? We have got, oh no, plastic all the way. It's like a hose down public toilet. No cloth at all. So they had to downgrade something and they've taken that away. That's a real shame. I guess we've still got chrome tips on the switch and that looks all right. Yeah, let's try and get in here. Well, that's not bad. I've got some knee room, headroom's really good, and because we don't have the buckety seats, the view out the front's pretty good as well. So that's, yeah, I'd be really happy in the back of here. Would I be happy driving it though? We'll find out when we go for a drive. Now let's have a look in the boot. Okay, so just about 70 litres less than the Golf, but it's still a good size. We do have the space over spare wheel option in this car, which I'd highly recommend. Yeah, it's a little bit more basic than a Golf, but it's all right. We've got 60-40 split, or is that 70-30? Curry hooks there. And that actually looks better than Golf 8, so that's where your warning triangle goes. Okay, now let's have a look under the bonnet, and I'd be very surprised if you've got a telescopic strut on this car. No, we don't, so bear with me while I use my head to hold the bonnet up. okay. There we have the EA888 engine then, so 207 horsepower, got the soft squidgy pedestrian friendly engine cover, and yeah, there we go. So it's a later version with the oil filler cap that's been brought forward, so presumably it's Gen 4 like it would be in a Golf. There's no battery in here, and I haven't actually worked out where it is yet, so yeah, let me know in the comments. But yeah, it's just like a Golf down here. Let's have a look at the paint then. So this is Reef Blue and this is just a grey primer, so it's not ideal, but at least it's roughly the same colour, unlike on say King's Red, which is red on the outside, grey under the bonnet. I've got 2 bonnet catches, just like the Golf 8, so that's quite smart, because I don't know why they've done that, because Golfs for ages, they've just had one in the middle. Okay guys, well, that's the Polo GTI. I think so far it's made a very strong case for itself compared to the Golf, which is about £10,000 more. But how will it perform on the road? Well, let's go and find out and drive the Polo GTI. Okay, let's start then by talking about the key. You'll probably recognise that as a Golf 7 7.5 key, but it's missing the shiny bit you get on GTIs, GTDs, GTEs and Rs. So I'd fit one just to make it look like the 7.5 GTI key. Goes into a slot in the steering column because we don't have keyless, which is no bad thing. Foot on the brake, starts up crisply. Got driving modes of Eco, Normal, Sport, Individual. Just for simplicity, let's put it into Sport. We'll get some fake sound, but it's not actually too tragic. We've got a decent feeling shifter actually. It feels nice, yeah. The stubby one's great in the Golf 8, but this is actually quite a nice traditional shifter. So we'll put that into drive, which puts it into, yeah, sports, which will make it a little bit more aggressive with the shifts and rev a little bit higher, but it's not like terrible like it can be on some cars. We've got a manual handbrake for handbrake turns if you want to do that off the public road. It's a bit wet out there, which is probably quite good for this test actually. Let's just see how, tiny bit of slip, but actually traction's pretty damn good. There's some fake sound, but as you can hear, it doesn't sound too bad, does it? 7-speed DSG, as usual, it's quick when you're in the mood. Maybe not as quick as a Golf GTI though. It seems to be a little bit of a slur to the gears, but it's still quick and it's super smooth, so if you're not in the mood, it's fantastic. 312mm brakes. Oh, as usual, they've got a lot of retardation at the top of the pedal, but once you get through that, the feel is actually really good. So it's the same brakes as you had in a TT or a Mark IV Golf 1.8T, which is actually a similar size to this car. Steering, yeah, even though we're in sport mode, so this is as good as it gets. It's very glassy, lacking in any texture communication. Yeah, it doesn't even really weight up that much when you load the car up, which I think is very different to Golfs over this bump. Yeah, it's good. I think you have to feel your way around this car, particularly in the wet, so you know that it's got the grip, and then once you can trust it, you can chuck it into corners like this, and it feels nice. Does it feel as nice as the Golf? Yeah, probably not. There are 2 things this car hasn't got you get with a Golf GTI. The first one is the VAQ diff, and that's basically a mechanical limited slip diff, Haldex basically for the front axle. In this car, we've got XDS, which is trying to mimic a limited slip diff, but it's using the ABS system. Does it work? Well, as you saw when we pulled off back there, it was pretty good. But there's got to be a reason why they've gone to the trouble of VAQ. Maybe it's for track use. But, I mean, let's try second gear now. No, let's try first, why not? Slower. So, yeah, a little bit of slip there. Yeah, I think once you get moving, it settles down, yeah. I mean, it's 207 horsepower. Is that quick enough? I think it is. You've got a really good gearbox which lets you exploit that performance. So yeah, I'll actually be quite happy with this amount of performance on the road, I think. What else is this car lacking? It's lacking multi-link rear suspension. This has been standard on the Golf GTI since the Mark V came out. That was 2004, and it's quite important. So basically it's independent rear suspension. Instead of that, we've got a torsion beam where the rear wheels are actually joined, so they're not independent. And this is how the Polo was launched in 1974 with 40 horsepower. I'm sure it's been upgraded since then, but it's still not as good as the Golf. And I think up to about 8/10, this car feels mighty. But once you start getting beyond that, if you do, I don't think everybody does, it doesn't give you the confidence you get with a multi-link Golf GTI. I mean, that's basically what the Mark IV Golf GTI had, and they don't have the best reputation, do they? So, yeah, I mean, about, you know, then it felt fine, but trust me, in the dry, at higher speeds, it ain't a Golf GTI. But, to be fair, and probably help with the standard adaptive chassis control, the ride in normal mode is actually really good. Okay, we're on 17s, not the factory option 18s, which might tip it over to being annoying, but it depends what the road's like where you are. Here they're not too bad, but on 17s with this DCC it's really good, but the 18s do look fantastic. And that's not a bad noise, at least in the car. Outside, I can't hear any pops and bangs. It's a lot of fun, but it's not as much fun as a Golf GTI. So why would you buy a Polo GTI over a Golf GTI if it doesn't drive as well? Well, it's usefully cheaper. Even though the RRP's gone up, it's still £10,000 cheaper than the cheapest Golf GTI. And that's important because it means however much kit you put on a Polo GTI, it'll still be under the magic £40,000 luxury car tax barrier. While the opposite is true with the Golf GTI, the RRP is over 40k. So even if you have a basic one, you'll be paying the luxury car tax, and that amounts to £3,000 over 5 years. And right now you can get £5 off a Polo GTI if you go to Drive the Deal. They're not sponsoring this video, and I will prove that by saying take that price and go to your main dealer and get them to do that kind of discount without going through a broker. Yes, it's not as nice to drive, but then how many people really push these cars that hard? And it's still a nice car to drive. But the other reason I'd buy a Polo GTI over a current Golf GTI is that interior. It's a perfect mix of sort of the olds from the 7.5 with a few modern updates, and you can enjoy it every second you're sat in that cabin. Yes, the plastics aren't as good as you'd expect in a Golf, but neither are the plastics in a current Golf. When it comes to material quality, the gap between Polo and Golf has never been smaller. And speaking of smaller, the Polo is that little bit smaller than the Golf, which is a bit of a lardy thing right now. And that means that it's much easier to park the Polo in cities and actually even on country roads. That being a little bit narrower makes it a lot less stressful. But I think the main thing to take away from this video is, once again, we are lucky to have the choice of Polo GTIs and Golf GTIs, brand new and second hand. So if you've been putting off buying one of these, I think now is the time to do it. As ever, guys, thank you for watching this Volkswizard video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.